What's up, everybody? How are we all doing today? Hopefully, you're having a great start to your Monday morning. It is gray and gloomy out here in mid-Michigan. We just got done getting a night. Well, I wouldn't really say a night, but everybody really hyped up the storms. And as I get older, and people get softer, we really like to freak out over incredibly mundane things. Everyone was very panicky about the weather coming. Now, to be fair, this is kind of a sidebar right off the rip. I actually really get off on meteorology. I very much enjoy meteorology. It's not that complicated. It's a series of patterns. And if you're good at recognizing patterns and knowing how things are going to react to certain things, you're going to be able to pay attention to meteorology pretty well. But, the older I get, the more I realize how much people freak out over things. And down south, south of where I live here, things did get pretty wild, but we're talking the Mississippi Valley area and not so much here in mid-Michigan. And boy, everyone was real freaked out. Sirens are going here. Sirens are going at work. And as a good Midwest boy, when the sirens went off, I promptly went to the third floor of the building, went out on the roof, and watched the rain like a good American lad that I am. Let's get a poll going. Did you just grab my butt? Start poll. Make sure and engage with the poll, everybody. If you're here for the live show, did you just grab my butt? All right, guys. Welcome. It is Monday, March 31st. So tomorrow will be a good old April Fool's Day. And the start of April, which means that we will only have just over 3 days. I think the draft is on the 24th until the NFL draft is underway, and that is an exciting time here at the Hat and Beard Show. It's something that we've always enjoyed a lot. Sorry, I just want to get my test screen going here. And it'll be happening in Green Bay. I'm going to be off those days for work, the first, second, third round. Well, the first, second, and third days, and then I also have a 4-day weekend that weekend. So I'm planning on, those of you that are just kind of new here, we're thinking maybe that Thursday, the night before the first round. I was thinking about maybe later in the afternoon doing a, like a little bit longer live stream leading up to the draft. Just kind of, we'll do a series of mock drafts, maybe field some questions, read some articles as we run right up to the draft. A very exciting time. This is when organizations and franchises can select their future Hall of Fame tackle out of the University of Oregon and move him over to the right side, have him play left side a little bit in his rookie year in replace of your veteran former first-round pick out of Ohio State. And then slowly, under the tutelage of one of the best offensive line coaches in football, a general manager and head coach who seem to fully understand the mission plan for one another, can help put you into positions to succeed where, as you're signing your second contract, you're already considered to be one of the best offensive linemen in the game, a perennial Pro Bowler and All-Pro. Some organizations, though, are going to make big swings and big misses. And we're going to try, and as the weeks go on, try and figure out who those players could be. And as Detroit Lions fans, how we can stay away from them. Nobody really would have expected, as the years go on and the weeks go on here, that Hendon Hooker, when he was coming into the league, barring that knee injury his senior year at Tennessee, is a Heisman Trophy finalist, or would have been a Heisman Trophy finalist. And probably would have gone in the first round, and we see how that works out for the Detroit Lions. He slid all the way to the third round, and now the Lions not only brought in Teddy Bridgewater for our short-lived playoff run, but now we see that the Lions signed Kyle Allen last week. So future's not great for Hendon Hooker. We see him very sparingly in the preseason. He's had one good year to really absorb the offense and the scheme, what we're trying to do here, and we just don't see a lot out of him. Now, this does kind of tie into the story that we're going to talk about, the article we're going to read at the back of the show, where I was discussing with Hat and Boobs about the realistic expectations for Hendon Hooker and how, boy, wouldn't he just look real great in the maroon and gold of the Michigan Panthers. It's the UFL organization here in Michigan. All right, so it is the Hat and Beard Show. I am Hat and Beard. You guys are an attentive audience, and we are going to be discussing a few things here. The Tush Push has support heading into the owners' meetings here leading up to the draft. We're going to talk some things about John Morton in the Detroit Lions and what we can maybe expect to see our offense do differently now that Benedict Arnold, piece of shit Johnson, is gone and over across Lake Michigan and Chicago dealing with Caleb crying, painting his fingernails Williams. And then if we have time, we're going to briefly discuss the Michigan Panthers matchup against the Memphis Showboats for the week 1 of the UFL. Some takeaways, some things to look at, and some things I observed. Some things that I read, some information about the UFL. That's if we have time. That's not a key thing here for us. So, guys, if you're not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on any future content. It is something you can do to try and tell YouTube that you like the content that you see here, though. Make sure that you're still subscribed, and if you have turned on the notification bell in the past, but you're not getting the notifications, please just double check that notification bell is still rang. Share this video around with all your friends. It costs absolutely nothing, but helps me out tremendously. It costs you $0.00. You don't have to pay any taxes on the share, but just share the link around with all your friends. And really, if you really want to get down to it and you want to get down to the really nitty-gritty of it, just copy the link onto your clipboard of your phone. You don't have to share it around with anybody, but just copying it from the YouTube site onto your phone shows the algorithm that it's being shared around. If you're watching this live, feel free to engage in the chat. First name is there. Let's go. Yes, let's go. First name. He's been a long-time subscriber of the channel. And go ahead and engage with the poll here if you're watching the live show. The question today is, did you just grab my butt? So, yes or no? Did you just grab my butt? It's a good question. And if you're watching post live show, look, let me know how it's working out. I'm trying to tailor this show to be, very podcasty, very radio show reminiscent of my youth, right? Growing up, listening to Jim Rome, Dan and the Danettes on the Dan Patrick Show. I even listened to a lot of, Adam Carolla at night on the Love Line, Bob and Tom. I remember when radio was the main entertainment on the job site. Let me throw this Zin in here before we get going, boys. That's right. The Hat and Beard Show is brought to you by the power of caffeine and Zin, as well as a good scoop of Jocko Mulk and some I could take a little creatine, and then also a little bit of collagen with protein in it. So we are fueled up and ready to go. Let's get the Zin in and ready to rock and roll here, boys. But as I was saying, I remember back when radio was the lead entertainment for work, right? Whether you worked in an office, because I can remember times sitting in doctor's office, orthodontist's office, dentist's office, and it was always, the cool tunes, the very best of the 80s, 90s, and today. As a lot of Bruce Springsteen and Rod Stewart, right? Celine Dion types, the top 40 plus, the last 40 years of top 40. Not quite the last 40 years, though. I do remember when there was a radio station here in mid-Michigan, and it was called Oldies 97.5 FM, and all they did was play the best of the oldies. A lot of Temptation. That's why I know all these really obscure old tunes from back in the day. Was a lot of listening to oldies. 97.5 FM with my folks on a lot of car trips and stuff like that. But and then you take that. So not only was radio listened to a lot in waiting rooms, office type settings, back before internet and internet media was very predominant, which I'm taking advantage of now. But also, you could go from an office setting all the way to a bluest of collar construction site, factory, any place that had the bluest of collars. And what do they have? Well, they had a radio there, and they were listening to the entertainment, whether it be music or sports talk. But there was somebody on that radio talking to them, and that's what I try to do here. I really enjoy that, and I feel that is a missed, lost almost art form. Now, we do have podcasts, but everything is pushed as podcasts, and a lot of ad reads and lots of nonsense. And I do my call to action at the beginning of the show, but we try and really push things down to a very radio reminiscent style here. So even though we have the articles pulled up and some graphics on screen, please don't feel like you have to watch. Just set it and forget it while you're doing your favorite hobby or working along nicely here. We'll be heading into work here in the next couple hours, and I get to deal with the war that I started with management. That's right, your boy filed 2 grievances on Friday. Hopefully they cash out for me nice and well. And I hope you guys are having a good start to your day, whether you're at work or at home or working hard or hardly working or working hard at hardly working. I'm glad you're here for the Hat and Beard Show. So, guys, with that all out of the way, a little 10, 15-minute introduction. Let's go ahead. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and walk on over to ESPN.com. They've got an article here pulled up for us. Source: Tush Push ban has support in competition committee. I like that 6th grade reading level. Let's go ahead and hit our coffee here, boys, before we get into this article by Kalen Collier. I'm assuming I got the strongest reading level ever, boys. All right. Here we go. The Green Bay Packers proposal to ban the push sneak, popularly known as the Tush Push, has support within competition committee, a source with direct knowledge told ESPN on Sunday. I'd like to welcome everybody to the chat. All you new viewers, hey, welcome in. Feel free to hang out, listen, engage, do whatever you got to do. We're reading a little article here. Another source with direct knowledge of competition committee thinking said the proposal would be hotly contested among coaches, general managers, and owners as they gather for league meetings this week. The league office staff presented the rules proposals during the football questions meeting Sunday afternoon, and 2 sources in the meeting described the back and forth as, quote, heated regarding the proposal to, quote, prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives a snap immediately at the snap. The snapper be snapping, and it's a snappy little snapper that's snapping, isn't it? It's a snappy snapper. During the Sunday afternoon session, Philadelphia Eagles GM Howie Roseman, one of the best GMs in the game, Assistant General Manager John Ferrari, and 2 head coaches on the competition committee, Sean McVay of the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McDermott, the battle of 2 Seans. I wonder if they could see where they were coming from. Were they seen? Were the 2 head coaches on the competition committee seen? Let's go Lions. Mr. Detroit City over in the chat. My guy. Welcome. Glad to have you in here, buddy. Hopefully you're at a good weekend. And we're starting your Monday off well. The 2 coaches gathered in a hallway outside of the ballroom to have a private and animated side conversation about the Packers' proposal. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur has not spoken publicly about the team's proposal and declined to comment on it when approached by ESPN on Sunday afternoon. Packers GM Brian Gunkunust. Packers general manager Big Brian G. also declined to a question from ESPN on Sunday. Quote, I'll leave that for someone else to talk about, end quote. He said, well, dude, you are the general manager of the team. That's kind of your job, don't you think? Teams putting forth a proposal will often save their arguments for the day of voting, which in this case will be Tuesday morning, so tomorrow morning. So Wednesday, we will probably know the outcome on whether or not the Tush Push will be allowed to continue to be used in the NFL. I'm holding my opinions for the end. Green Bay listed 2 reasons within its proposal to prohibit the play the Eagles have made famous: player safety and pace of play. Multiple sources who have been in competition committee meetings Multiple sources who have been in competition committee meetings about the play told ESPN there was no injury data to support the ban, but rather a hypothetical conversation centered around potential injuries. Isn't that though? Isn't the hypothetical conversation around potential injuries kind of the whole reason for the hip drop tackle and the blows to the head on the quarterback and why roughing is so much? And isn't that why we're really trying to push to have the trash field at MetLife taken out and a new, more natural grass put in? Isn't that why we force players to wear the goofy Smurf helmets, the mushroom caps there at practice? Certain positions are required to because of the potentiality of injury, even though in reality, a lot of those players, those guardian caps in specific, only protect concussions from blows to the back of the head where you're landing and slamming your head, bouncing it off the turf. They don't do anything about the front or sides of the helmet or even reduce the rattle in the brain, because let's be honest, guys, there is a large misconception about how concussions work. Now, look, I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not a doctor. I am not a brain surgeon. I barely graduated high school. I am not an intellectual by any means. However, I do think I'm smarter than most people, and concussions aren't caused from the impact to the brain. It's really caused by the brain sloshing around, moving, shaking, vibrating, any small real thing. So, okay, you realize those massage guns that people have. If you were to really put it on a higher setting on the side of your head and rattle around, there is a high potentiality for you to give yourself a concussion from the vibrations causing your brain to shift inside the fluid, right? There is this chance that could happen. You know what I'm saying? So my point being is that we force players to wear the guardian caps, even though we know that concussions, they only protect against blows to the back of the head, falling backwards, bouncing your head off the turf, that type of situation. But we force players to do that. So why are we not forcing the potential injury here, the hypothetical conversation centered around potential injuries in regards to the tush push? I mean, if we're going to call balls and strikes, I feel like, even though we're not necessarily making an apples-to-apples comparison, we are making still a fruit-to-fruit comparison, and the NFL is a fruit vendor, right? I don't know if that makes sense. The league presented the injury risk of the push sneak based on data modeling, saying defensive players are at risk while launching head first, and offensive linemen at risk because of their bent posture operating in a narrow window, which could lead to neck injuries. Yeah, that is it. The tush push is a very high school play. Okay, it's a very high school play. It's not backed by data. One club executive said it was all subjective. Another source in the competition committee meeting said that, quote, "It's not about player safety. It's just a different play, and it just looks different." The tush push has had critics around the league since the Eagles debuted the play during the 2022 season. Coaches, executives, and players have argued it's not a football play, with some comparing it to a rugby play. Yes, it is structurally built around the same concept as, what is it called, a rugby scrum. I don't know what you weird Europeans call that bizarre football soccer mashup game you guys play. Yes, it is similar to a scrum. However, let's really get into it. Let's really just make it as easy as pie. I did just call it a high school play, and I do believe that it is still very high schoolian of teams to run a tush push, right? I am a football purist, so I do appreciate the violent and physical nature of the play. However, when you reach the NFL level, you shouldn't have to be relying so heavily on such a high school level play, right? And excuse me. The one thing that I have to disagree with, and this is coaches, executives, and players have argued it's not a football play. Well, here's the thing, bud. Is it a play that is happening during the regulation scheduled time period of a football game, and is it being performed on a football field manned by 22 players? And are they football players? Because then it would be a football play by the definition of it. A bullshit play, okay? Okay, look, my true feeling on the Tush Push. It was cute, okay? It was cute. It is very difficult to stop in 1 yardage situations because of the leverage. Okay. So when you're playing football, offense and defense, offense does have, obviously, the leg up on the defense, regardless of how much film you've watched, because when it really boils down to brass tacks, the offensive players already know what play they're going to be running, right? And they know the snap count. So you have a cunt hair of a second advantage over the defense. So you do have the attack and surprise advantage over a defense who, even though especially the front seven are supposed to be attacking, you are still reactive to what is developing because, you have your job to do while also trying to chase the ball and figure out what, make the play. Whereas the offensive players simply have to do their job and hope that their coaches put them into positions to succeed against the defense that they're running, right? So it's an attack versus react relationship, right? And the Tush Push does multiple things. One, it gives a tremendous amount of physics and leverage advantage to the offensive players because you see it where guys just get right down in it and they're 6 inches off the ground, right? And even with the biggest of nose tackles, you're still reactive. And when you get into the physics matchup of it, the offensive line is going to go nose to nose like a couple of fucking bulldozers, right, with the defensive line. So by the physics matchup, if everything were equal, right, they're going to collapse down and cause think of it like tectonic plates kind of collapsing downward instead of sliding over one another. It's going to collapse inward, right? So you're going to get this big pile, this big mashup right here. While you're having this mashup, the quarterback then has the ability to take the ball, take a half a step back, allow himself to get leverage over the pile, right? His trajectory will go over the pile, and then you have one or multiple players in the backfield there to literally tush push, grab the quarterback's ass and push him along. So not only do you get the pile, right? The pile up where the majority of the meat of the offense and defense are going to be piled up on top of one another, causing this mass of human beings. The quarterback then has the ability to push into, if not go over, and then reach out with his arms, as well as the momentum of two fully grown, if not two fully grown men, physically pushing the quarterback into and over the pile. It leans into every possible advantage that the offense can have. And by doing so, it is an incredibly clever play. However, it is still bullshit. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit play because it is unbeatable, right? It is basically unstoppable. And it's the same concept of when you figure out how to spam a move, an unstoppable move in, like, say, Smash Brothers, right? Now, we can all sit here and say, get good, right? Yes, get good, no Johns. It's a skill level. What, though, play can the defense do to be a skill level type situation? You know what I'm saying? What is the counter, not necessarily the counter to the Tush Push, but what is the Tush Push equivalent for the defense to do against an offense? There really isn't anything. And although I would like to sit here and pound my chest and say it's a grown man's game, get good, no Johns, bro, I don't think that when you're playing at such a high level, I don't think it's a necessary play. Now, am I happy to find middle ground? Well, yes, of course. The solution is never on one end or the other. Traditionally, there needs to be concessions made by both parties in any form of negotiation to where both parties are satisfied. Do we get to maybe a limit to how, if not even where, the tush push is going to be implemented, right? And how many times and where on the field you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you cap it off to you're only allowed to do it within the 10-yard line of either field. So, you're coming out of the end zone. Their punter pinned you back. There's a penalty. You're on the not yard line. Tush push there kind of makes sense. Also, I think that in that type of situation, that would actually, you know what? That makes sense, yes. So if you were to allow an offense to perform the tush push within the 10-yard line to goal line of either end zone coming in or coming out of, it gives the almost equal advantage to the defense on the opposing offensive line, right? So when they're coming out of the end zone, it gives almost the same advantage as terms of the ability to score a safety or cause a loose ball recovered for a touchdown, that type of situation, as it does the offense on the other end of the end zone heading into the end zone, if that makes sense. I know I kind of got a little lost in the sauce there. The black and white of it, it's a bullshit play. It's very high school. Get good, but there needs to be a limit to it. At least that's my opinion. Sorry to go off on a tangent. This is the third offseason that the competition committee has reviewed the play, but the first time a club has submitted a rule proposal aimed to eliminate or restrict it. The first source with knowledge of the competition committee said, quote, "It's a shit show. Series in the NFC Championship game between the Commies and the Eagles helped build momentum toward the current rules proposal. During the fourth quarter of that game, the Commanders committed 4 defensive penalties, 1 offsides, 3 encroachments on 6 consecutive push sneak plays that started on their 1-yard line." Yeah, I remember that. Preferring to take the yardage penalty at such a short distance, half the distance, to surrendering a touchdown. The Eagles replayed second down 4 times in a sequence that took minutes off the game clock and prompted referee Sean Hockley to make an official warning to the Commanders that if they committed another palpable unfair act, he would award the Eagles a touchdown. The Eagles scored a touchdown on the 6th tush push attempt. And that's kind of the thing. When you're just going to do it over and over and over. And I, Eagles fans, whatever. Doesn't Nick Sirianni seem like that kid that would do the same play over and over and over again and just like, I'm so good. It's like, yeah, dude, do something else. Be another character. Or he's that kid that in, like, what was it, Madden 04? When was Vic on the cover? When Michael Vick was just God mode in Madden. They would always be the Falcons and just scramble with Vic, and there was nothing you could do, right? And it's like, yes, okay, I get it. You know the one hack to the game, but can you try something else? Try something else. Show me what you're really good at. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like Nick Sirianni is totally that kid. Was that kid? Is that kid? Now, nothing against Nick Sirianni. He's got the hardware to prove that he knows what he's doing, but come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. We all know the reality of the situation. When you're going to run 6 of these things in a row and really just milk the clock, kind of hack the system. I get it. A W is a W, but still, it's cheese. It's cheesy, dude. It's cheese. Quote, "That's more because of the look of the play," said the source who was in a competition committee meeting. Quote, "To folks that know that they want football to look like on Sundays, the fans, they want to run the play 50 times down the field." Exactly. And that's like that right there. Do they want to run the play 50 times down the field when it's unstoppable? And that's why I was like, if you're going to allow it, you need to cap it, limit the usage and the situations on the field in which it can be used. But only 2 teams, the Eagles and the Bills, ran the push sneak more than 5 times last season. And the 35,415 total plays last season, the tush push accounted for only 101 of those plays, which is 0.28%. Right. But those 0.28%, that is a very small percentage, actually. Shit, it's kind of hard to argue with the numbers. Can't argue with the numbers. The numbers don't lie. It's still a bullshit play. And in this situation, Ben Shapiro, my feelings care more about the facts. The thing that nobody likes about the discussion we are having is and the question you just asked is that the rule is directed towards two teams. Falcons CEO and competition committee chairman Rich McKay said, quote, "We have rules that come in about some plays or some tactics or something that would never contemplated and all of a sudden was introduced. And there is a rule put up to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have the tactic or that play. So I don't think any of us like the fact that there are teams associated with the rules proposal. The competition committee doesn't screen or limit the number of rules proposals before they are raised for conversations at owners' meetings." Damn, this is long. Okay, look, here's the long and short of it. I'm not going to read this whole fucking article. This is getting too. Oh well, here this reeks of jealousy. Yes, it does reek of jealousy, but no. I'm not going to read this whole article. The long and short of it is it's a bullshit play. It's a bullshit play. It's a bullshit play ran by bullshit people in bullshit situations. And if you're going to do it, you're just a bullshitter. I know that get good, no Johns, yada yada, etc., etc. But no, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the tush push. I'm not wild about it. Let's take it on over here to SI.com. Another Christian Boer article. Mr. Christian Boer. I think he's probably one of the Lions beat writers for SI. Detroit Lions on SI, SI.com/NFL Lions. And we're going to go ahead and read this article here about John Morton. So if you're not already, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, why don't you go ahead and walk on over and like the video. Like the video. If you're trying, sorry, my test screen keeps bogging out, and I want to make sure that the stream's good over here. Sorry about that, y'all. If you're watching post show, sorry. This is we're still learning. What I'd like to eventually do is have graphics come up. So if anybody knows how to do transitions and slides, I don't know if I need a second monitor to do that, so I'm not clicking over to my control screen on OBS. That'd be great. So, all right. So as you guys know, the former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, Mr. Benedict Small PP Johnson, he up and decided in November, more or less, that he was going to become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And he did so, betraying the fandom that looked at him, with such high regard. We would have done a lot for him. I, myself, was a massive Ben Johnson fan until he went to one of three teams that he couldn't possibly go to, right? Interdivisional rival. I've said it many times, I was very looking forward to becoming a Raiders or Patriots fan. And I might just become a Patriots fan out of spite because I might like Mike Vrabel. And that then opened up the offense coordinator position here in Detroit. With all the talent that is here, it was a more or less highly sought-after position. And with both our offensive and defensive coordinator, we see both of them leaving. We've seen a lot of poaching going on. A lot, and justifiably so. Okay, that's going to happen when you're a good organization. You're going to lose your coaches as they take promotions, as they go to other organizations to make their own name, right? And this is something that as Lions fans, we are very unaccustomed to. So both Benedict, Small PP, Arnold Johnson, and Aaron Glenn left to pursue head coaching positions. And I wish the best of luck to Aaron Glenn. He's in a very tough situation. And I wish all of the worst on Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson. He took Antoine Randall L. He was one of two guys in-house that I thought would have been a great fit for offensive coordinator spot. Well, really three guys. And then we've seen Aaron Glenn take our quarterback, one of our assistant quarterbacks coaches, right, who was a contender apparently for the offensive coordinator position. I myself, I am a big Antoine Randall L fan, and I thought he had a outside shot. If we were going to keep it in-house for the offensive coordinator role, I thought Antoine Randall L was a dark horse candidate amongst three guys. I was pretty confident that Mark Brunell, our quarterbacks coach and longtime quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think he played I know he finished his career in New Orleans, and I feel like I remember him wearing a Washington Commies jersey at one point, but I might be mistaken there. I thought Mark Brunell was going to be the surefire top end candidate for the offensive coordinator spot, and then my second candidate, my favorite candidate, was Hank Fraley, our offensive line coach, who has been promoted to, I believe, run game coordinator as well as offensive line coach. So a step forward, though I thought he was going to be our guy. Again, the mentality of an a former offensive lineman turned one of the best offensive line coaches in the game. I thought that was exactly the identity that we were going to go with. However, and I can't question it because until proven otherwise, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes know more than me, and that's very evident, right? They know more than everybody else because they've been able to do the unthinkable in a very short amount of time. They went out and grabbed someone who they have familiarity with, John Morton, the passing game coordinator for then rookie quarterback Bo Nix in the surprising Denver Broncos, right? Let's be honest, Denver Broncos outperformed where we thought they were going to perform. They overachieved by some aspects, but when you have a 69-year-old rookie, Bo Nix, throwing the ball, you would expect some experience, even though he played 49 years in college, right? We went and got John Morton, who has had experience with the Lions organization in 2022. He was here, so he has familiarity with the guys. And then he went with Sean Payton to Denver, who, kind of, I would say, had more allegiance and also took a step up in the coaching hierarchy. However, as things go and you succeed, just like we talked about the Detroit Lions organization, coaches are going to be poached away. So John Morton, showing success as the passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos, took a promotion to become the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And here we see John Morton. I don't know very much about him. I haven't seen the guy talk very much. I don't know the personality, though he does have, oh man, just cracked the hell out of my back. Woo! Oh, wow. Although he does have NFL experience as a wide receiver, undrafted rookie free agent, I believe, who spent 7 years in the league, which is common for the Detroit Lions. The question will be is what kind of offense is he going to run? Being a former wide receiver, is he going to continue to lean on Jared Goff, who was a dark horse MVP candidate for the league? Let's be honest. He was one of the most important players on one of the most successful teams in the NFL. And it could arguably said that without Jared Goff manning the helm for the Detroit Lions, there is no way we're winning the division. We're struggling to get double-digit wins, and that is proven with what I said earlier on in the video about Hendon Hooker not being the guy. We didn't bring Teddy Bridgewater in until the end of the season, and they clearly don't have faith in Hendon Hooker with the Kyle Allen signing. So here are some things Lions offensive coordinator John Morton can do differently than Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson. What changes could Morton bring to the Lions offense? The Detroit Lions offense has been one of the league's most exciting and highest producing groups over the last 3 seasons under offensive coordinator Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson. However, Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson has moved on to become the head coach of the Chicago Eats My Butt Bears, and as a result, the group has new leadership for the 2025 campaign. Head coach Dan Campbell hired John Morton, who has familiarity with the organization, having spent the 2022 season on staff, to be the new play caller. Morton inherits an offense that returns many of its top playmakers, with all-pro talent such as offensive tackle give him his gold jacket Penei Sewell, and wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, and MVP finalist quarterback Jared Goff. And let's not forget those unbelievably high flying and super talented running backs, Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, who is going to be a man possessed, and Jahmyr Gibbs, who just he still has to hit. Jahmyr Gibbs still has yet to hit his ceiling yet. Let's walk it on over to the chat real quick. We got 4 people hanging out. Good morning. I'm Chasing Chase. Always late, but always here, brother. And I appreciate you hanging out, dude. Better late than never, dude. And I'm glad to have you in the chat, popping around, hanging out. If you're still there, buddy, I do need to shoot you a message. I'm trying to figure out on OBS. Do I need a second screen? I'd like to start adding graphics like transition sliders as I go from story to story. And what I'm wondering is, do I need a second monitor so that I can have my OBS control screen on my laptop while displaying the second monitor so that I can run both at the same time, kind of produce and direct multiple graphics while I'm hosting the show as well? Think about that while we read the article. Let me know. Back to the article here. Morton and Campbell are both byproducts of the Sean Payton coaching tree. Oh, God, I can't stop burping. Oh, man, coffee. Excuse me. So there may not be many stylish changes to the offense, given the team's identity and Morton's role crafting the offense during the 2022 campaign. However, he could also spearhead improvements. Here are 3 areas where the Lions' offense may be different under John Morton. The number one thing, and this is actually what I thought of as soon as we hired John Morton. For sure, I'm chasing Chase. Appreciate it, brother. As much as the trick plays were fun, outside of that JMO interception in the divisional round of the championship game, or the divisional round of the playoffs, once in a while on the trick plays is okay, right? Similar to what we just talked about with the Tush Push. It's very high schoolian, right? It is very, yes, they are fun, and yes, it gets the crowd wild and the players love it. But as frequently as we are running it, I just feel that, honestly, I think you should be able to put on your suit and tie and go to work and do your job, not have to rely on bullshit like that, right? So I'm hoping a little bit of reduction in trick plays. I would like to see, and this could be, I haven't really thought about a comparison in quarterback play style between Bo Nix and Jared Goff. However, it could be said a lot of times, Jared Goff lacks the downfield arm strength that you see out of. So, we got very accustomed to Matt Stafford's big arm. We watched Aaron Rodgers for years in Green Bay do it. Probably going to watch him in Pittsburgh not do it. And then Bo Nix, a little bit bigger of an arm than Jared Goff. Can Jared Goff throw the ball vertically down the field? I would like to see more big plays. I'd like to see us really figure out, give JMO the year that, see what the ceiling is on Jameson Williams. What is the ceiling? Really test the ceiling on JMO this year. How often can we deep shot him? Can we use him like a Tyreek Hill? Can Jared Goff do that? I feel like Jared Goff was limited in his downfield passing, and I'd like to see more out of Jared Goff. But then the question is, can Jared Goff throw the ball downfield as opposed to the intermediate routes? I think that with JMO, obviously able to stretch the field, but I also think that Sam Laporta is a very talented downfield tight end. He's a very versatile tight end obviously he's a tight end, so he doesn't have game-breaking speed, but he's a sneaky route runner who runs crisp routes and can get open downfield. I'd like to see Jared Goff stretch the field a little bit more, maybe under John Morton. I really feel like the Broncos threw a lot of downfield passes with Bo Nix. And then, maybe a little bit more of a change in our running game. Myself, I grew up running a zone offense in high school, so I'm a little bit more biased towards the zone run scheme. I think that it is a simpler but more effective style than the Lions' real kind of just pick a gap and pound the gap over and over again. I like the idea. Now, the difference between, so when I say zone, a zone blocking scheme is you utilize the offensive line as like a wall. So what you want to do is, we'll just break it down real simple. All right. So right brown 36 outside zone is what we ran. Right brown 36 outside zone was one of the bread and butters of our high school team, right? And it was a zone scheme. So it's simple. So the offensive line, typically you're going to pivot, or well, not pivot, but take a bucket step to the right or a slide step to the right. And what you want to do is you want to move the entire offense, right? So we're going to go offensive line, right brown. So it'd be I formation with the fullback off to the set and a tight end on the strong side, right? So what you're doing is you're moving the entire line of scrimmage in the defense, and the whole play is slowly developing to the right. And what that does is it creates a wall and gets the defenders moving in one area so that your running backs, like a Jahmyr Gibbs, like a David Montgomery, who's incredibly agile, now they have this wall, and then it gives them the cutback lane to manipulate the momentum of the defense going in one direction, where they then have to not only change their momentum, change speed, and redirect, but then they're running into an entire wall of arguably one of the top 3 offensive lines in football. Tim Patrick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, both aggressive downfield blockers. And one thing that is highly underrated is Jamison Williams' downfield blocking. If you look at a lot of the big chunk plays we got on the ground last year, who was the man blocking downfield like any other man? J-Mo. That's right. It was J-Mo. It was J-Mo blocking downfield, springing our running backs to the second level, engaging with the corners and the safeties to allow Gibbs and Montgomery to get into the open field and get those big chunk plays, right? So the article says, number 1, less trick plays. One of the most defining aspects of Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson's tenure was the amount of trick plays he deployed on a weekly basis. The Lions scored several touchdowns last season via flea pit flickers, hook and ladders, and the occasional wide receiver pass. It remains to be seen whether the Lions will have a similar flavor under Morton in 25. Campbell is an offensive-minded coach, and as a result, his influence on the offense could lead the team once again to deploying these trick plays. However, with Benedict Arnold Small PP Johnson serving as the architect for these trick plays, it wouldn't be a surprise to see some of the creativity not return to the offense this upcoming season. Second, hey, looks like we're all on board with it. More downfield passing. That's right. We want to see our offense go down the field and utilize Jamison Williams. The offense has certainly been an explosive team capable of taking shots down the field. However, under Morton, they could look to do even more of that. As a passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos, he presided over a group that wasn't afraid to attack downfield. Granted, Morton did not call plays in Denver, but certainly could bring a similar style. In 24, only one quarterback attempted more throws with their targets, 20 yards or more downfield than Denver's Bo Nix. See? So like I said, I feel like Bo Nix was taking shots on a regular basis. He's got a way bigger arm than Jared Goff, though. At least that is what you just initially think when you think Jared Goff. You think Jared Goff doesn't have a big arm, but Jared Goff can take these shots, man. I just know it. Meanwhile, Goff ranked 22nd with 48 attempts of that nature. With the Lions having explosive talent headlined by Jamison Williams, the sun god Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff could definitely be taking more deep chances in 25. With Williams' speed, this style could lead to yet another big season for the Alabama product. Yes, I would like to see J-Mo. And we've talked about it before, life after J-Mo. If we're going to move on from J-Mo, though, let's get the most we can out of him. I want 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns out of Jamison Williams this year. Is that so much? Is that so much to ask? I really, 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 really do think, with the talent that is available, with our 3 top receiving targets, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and Sam Laporta, barring any significant injury, anything over 3 weeks for any of those players, is it ridiculous to assume or to think that with defenses now realizing that we have 2 unbelievably talented running backs who can take over a game individually, simultaneously, and just run away with it, it is safe to assume Kevin Zeitler's moving on. There is going to be a learning curve at the interior offensive line, even though Christian Mahogany played lights out. Graham Glasgow is getting older and taking a step back. Taylor Decker, I felt like, took a step back. Penei Sewell took a step forward. Frank Ragnow maintained. Is it safe to assume that defenses will be focusing more on our running backs, allowing John Morton to run play action? We've seen Goff very effective throwing the ball downfield on play action. Jamison Williams will now be able to continue to develop, having a second full year in the organization. Hopefully there aren't many changes to the offense. Is it insane? Comment down below if you're watching this post live stream. Just comment. Insane, not insane. Could Jared Goff feed Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and Jamison Williams all to go over 1,000 yards? I don't think that is that far-fetched. Jared Goff is a talented enough quarterback. He is a top quarterback in the NFL. flirts with being an elite quarterback in the NFL, right? Jared Goff has a ceiling that can be obtained with the players that he has in their prime right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. And I'm talking JMO, 1,600 yards, St. Brown, 1,300 to 1,400 yards, probably more touchdowns than JMO because Amon-Ra a little bit crispier of a route runner, utilized a little bit more in the middle of the field. So we're talking more red zone touches. JMO is going to be hitting those big plays over the top. Again, I'd like to see JMO get 12 touchdowns, a floor of 6 touchdowns, a ceiling of 12 touchdowns with 1,600 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm looking for 11 to 13, 1,400 yards, but double-digit touchdowns as his floor, his ceiling of 16 touchdowns. And Sam Laporta, I think Sam Laporta has a floor of 900 yards, a ceiling of 1,100 yards, and anywhere between 7 to 10 touchdowns next year. Is that insane? Is that insane? Yes, I just accounted for 40 touchdowns between 3 guys, roughly, from Jared Goff alone. And then you throw in Fireball Tim Patrick's probably going to count for 3 to 5. Khalif Raymond, who just restructured his deal, allowing him to stay in the organization and make a little bit more cap maneuvers for the Lions organization moving forward, staying on more as a punt returner, but still a lethal threat periodically in the organization. A couple touchdowns receiving. Jared Goff is poised to have a 40-50 touchdown year. Jared Goff could be flirting with 5,000 receiving yards very easily if these 3 guys are all able to eclipse 1,000 receiving yards. And that is no small feat. To have organization have a quarterback be able to effectively feed in a winning situation, right? We're not talking trash ball. We're not talking pad Stafford numbers, right? Garbage time yardage. We're talking dominance, right? We're talking Peyton Manning feeding Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison and like Brandon Stokely, right? Or Dallas Clark. I think it's totally achievable for us to do if we start throwing the ball downfield, taking the top off the defense with JMO, manipulating the deep middle of the field with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then having a healthy, fully ready to go Sam Laporta. All right, totally feasible, in my opinion. Zone runs. In years past, the Lions have been predominantly a gap scheme team when it comes to running the run game. However, with the Broncos utilizing plenty of zone runs in years past, it can be expected that this aspect of the game will become a bigger part of what the Lions do in 2025. Detroit has had 2 extremely talented running backs at its disposal, and as a result will look for ways to help them have the most success. With how athletic and agile the Lions' line is, headlined by Penne, give him his gold jacket already, Sewell, there should be little issue in utilizing zone runs more often. Additionally, these runs can help the Lions set up play action, which is something they did more than any team in the league last year. Knicks was top 5 in terms of passes out of play action a year ago, meaning Morton likes to utilize this aspect at a high rate. We ran more play action passes than anybody in the league last year. With our running backs, you're allowed to. With our offensive line, you're allowed to. With our wide receivers with game-breaking speed, JMO, and the just sheer dominance of the route running that Amon-Ra has. It's doable. Totally doable. And it's crazy. I didn't pre-read this either, but less trick plays, more downfield passing, and like I said, more zone runs. Yes. Yes. I'm glad we're all on board with this. Christian Boer, cheers to you over at si.com. Let's see, it is 3 minutes to 11. You know what, guys? We're going to go ahead and run down this last article. Why not? We got nothing better to do. Well, technically, those storms weren't so bad, but I got a lot of sticks down in the yard, and I got a little bit of yard cleanup today, hopefully, before we go to work. So if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share this around with all your friends, comment down, engage in the poll here. Did you just grab my butt? We have 3 votes. Let's take a look over here. Did you just grab my butt? 67% of you said yes, you did just grab my butt, and 1 of you said no, you did not just grab my butt. Well, that sucks. I'm glad that you guys are engaging. I don't know how some of you would grab my butt. None of you are here, but hey, I don't blame you. I got a sweet white peach, and it's totally grabbable. So now that you guys are all liked, subscribed, commented down below, sharing this video around with all your friends, and turn that notification bell on, let's just get into this last story. Now, you guys know I am a football junkie, right? I love watching football. College is okay. It's not my favorite to watch because there's just a lot of games to watch, and the talent levels can be vast discrepancies in some of the games, right? I obviously live for the NFL. That's what our channel predominantly covers. But one of the awesome things is we are now in our second season of spring ball where we have the UFL, which is a blend of the USFL and the XFL, right? And I love spring football. I love it because it really scratches that itch, man. It just scratches that itch. Now I'm going to be honest. There is a large drop-off in talent. Okay, there's a reason why these guys are in the spring league. They either didn't make it to this show, they got to the NFL, and they fizzled out, right? They just weren't quite good enough to get over that hump. But it's satisfying to watch. It scratches that itch, and there are good teams. I'd like to see the league expand and grow. This year will be telling, though, because some teams are struggling to put seats or feet in the stands. I'm looking at you, Memphis. And the advertising and marketing for the UFL just seemed very lackluster. There doesn't seem to be a lot of backing behind it from major corporations. So if this season we could really maybe see an uptick in the level of play, it was nice to see Birmingham get upset by the Jordan Taiamu-led DC Defenders, right? The Birmingham Stallions are 3-time back-to-back UFL, and then they won the first championship of back-to-back USFL, and then they won the championship for the UFL. But it was good to see them lose in the first round, or the first game of the season. Not going to lie, everybody likes to see the Goliath go down. And here in Michigan, we have our beloved Michigan Panthers. You guys might recall hearing words about the Michigan Panthers because that's right, the Ballad of Jake Bates started kicking for the Michigan Panthers. He was able to parlay a sensational spring season with the Michigan Panthers where he booted, I think, 3 60-plus yard field goals into a prolific rookie campaign for the Detroit Lions. And barring any setbacks, the legend and the ability for the kid, he lines up to be a next longtime kicker for the Detroit Lions, i.e. Jason Hanson, maybe Matt Prater-esque, worst case scenario, right? So the Michigan Panthers open their season week 1, Sunday at noon, down in Memphis. Now, Memphis, not so great. They are one of the worst teams in the UFL, and they just don't have a lot of support. Memphis is a very shit market for football. But the Panthers rolled down to Memphis, and the Panthers best Showboats 26-12 in season opener. All right. And here's our quarterback, Bryce Perkins. He actually has a Super Bowl ring for when he was an undrafted rookie free agent on roster with the Los Angeles Rams. Played one game in replacement of Matt Stafford, actually. So he has NFL pedigree, a Super Bowl ring. And then our number 2 quarterback, Etling, what's his name, JT Etling, something like that, also has a Super Bowl ring where he was a third-string quarterback for the New England Patriots. So there are professional NFL guys sprinkled in on most teams. Birmingham tends to have the majority of them. And I'll admit, it is nice to see the level of talent polishes up the closer you get to the end of the season. We were watching the game. Hat and Boobs and I were watching the game, and even she pointed out, she's like, it is kind of like watching college ball. It's there, the speed of the game, the reactiveness isn't quite there. However, with the UFL, the hits are there. It's good to see the hits. I love seeing guys get their clocks cleaned, and there is just unprecedented accents. You get to listen to the refs' discussion. You get to hear Dean Blandino, the VP of officiating for the UFL, literally tell the guys, you made the wrong call, go fix it, right? There are cameras on defensive players, right? I don't know how. I didn't really get to see it, but they're real small, and you get to actually watch the play on develop and be literally strapped into the defensive player. And the UFL was the organization that pioneered the new kickoff rules. They're doing it again this year. They've tweaked their kickoff rules a little bit. Which then led to the changes in the NFL kickoff rules. So not only does the Spring League give me that methadone during the spring that I'm needing to get to fall season. They are an experimental grounds for potential rule changes in the NFL because it is a high level. There is still a small enough group to be able to really hyper focus in on the data. And then also the stories, dude. The stories of you love an underdog story, and that's all the UFL is. It is just underdog story upon underdog story. And these guys are just out there for the love of the game. I mean, some of the highest paid players only make $50K a year. Contrast that to what they could make even on a practice squad, right? But the Panthers, I love watching the Michigan Panthers. I also like that color palette of the maroon and gold. And as much as I like Bryce Perkins, it sure would be nice to see Hendon Hooker, old Hendon Hooker in a Michigan Panthers uniform. Continuity proved to be key for the Michigan Panthers as they defeated the Memphis Showboats 26-12 at Simonson's Bank at Liberty Stadium on Sunday. With the majority of their 2024 squad returning this season, they hit their stride early and led the entire game. Michigan recorded 281 total yards on offense while tallying 3 sacks, 4 TFLs, and 2 INTs on defense. Memphis looked poised for a comeback late in the fourth quarter, but safety Kai Nakua, and yes, that is a brother of Puka Nakua. In fact, both of the non-Puka Nakua brothers play for the Michigan Panthers, slammed the door shut with an 80-yard pick six return for a touchdown. I didn't get to see it because I had to go to work, but I watched the first half of this game, and I'm glad that our defense stepped up. We got a nasty defense here in Michigan. Mike Nolan is a great coach for the UFL. Quarterback Bryce Perkins got the start for the Panthers and led them to victory, aided by drives from Danny Etling. That's his name, Danny Etling. With 4:35 remaining in the third quarter, Perkins connected with Samson Nakua, the other Nakua brother, on a 25-yard touchdown to give the Panthers double-digit lead. It was Nakua's first score since college. I just want to point out that you see, yes, Bryce Perkins got the start for the Panthers, aided by drives from Danny Etling. And that is something you do see quite regularly in the UFL. It is still that go between the collegiate level and the professional level, so you do see more collegiate level plays and rotationary quarterbacks for situations. There are guys trying to get their opportunity, trying to get their chance, so you see guys rotated in and out at quarterback, and also very short leashes on quarterbacks. The Panthers defense wasted no time making plays in the first quarter, as linebacker Noah Dawkins recorded a TFL on the first play of the game. 2 plays later, Adonis Alexander stonewalled Showboats wide receiver Jonathan Adams from reaching the first down marker after the reception, forcing Memphis a punt. Perkins and co. also started fast on offense, reaching the red zone in just 4 plays on their first possession. Perkins connected with Marcus Sims on a catch and run of 30 yards to get the Panthers in scoring range. The Showboats defense stood tall when it mattered, and Michigan had to settle for a 30-yard field goal. BT Potter and led early from 3-0. After forcing Memphis to punt, Michigan got right back on offense. The Panthers marched their way down the field to the 2-yard line, and on 4th and goal, Perkins deked out multiple Showboats. He also got the 1-point conversion because you can't kick 1-pointers. You can either go for 1, 2, or 3, and the yardage changes after the score. But man, that touchdown from Perkins, that was sick. That was an all-wheel play. I wish I could find it. I wish I could find the highlights. It was sick though. It was all heart there. We read that. Despite former Michigan Panthers quarterback E.J. Perry getting the start for Memphis, the Showboats turned to Troy Williams for a change of pace. The Michigan native Kenny Willekes sacked Williams on the third down for a loss of 16, and despite a false start on the attempt, kicker Matt Coughlin booted a 50-yard field goal for his first points of the game. That's right. Kenny Willekes, Michigan native and longtime Spartan, is one of our defensive ends, and he's a man possessed out there. Again, NFL pedigree player playing at a lesser league. He should be head and shoulders above most of the other guys. Panthers defense continued to create pressure on the next Memphis drive, and they posted the first takeaway of the season. T.J. Carter got in the face of Perry, who lofted a pass up in the waiting arms of Arnold Tarpley. Yeah, he just jumped up and grabbed that son of a bitch. Michigan could not take advantage of the turnover, having to punt the ball back to Memphis on a 3-and-8 out. The Panthers took a 10-3 lead into halftime, while gaining the Showboats 162 yards to 52. Memphis added another Coughlin field goal in the third quarter, this time from 45 yards to cut into Michigan's lead. The Panthers hit pay dirt on the ensuing drive when Perkins hit a 25-yard touchdown pass to Nakua. Matthew Colburn, returning face, ran in the 1-point conversion to take the game 17-6. The 9-play, 50-yard drive helped Michigan build a cushion on their lead. With 8:17 remaining in the game, Potter knocked a 43-yard field goal for good measure. Memphis found the end zone with an Adams 6-yard touchdown pass from Perry with 1:52 remaining, but it was too little too late. The Showboats attempted on a 4th and 12 conversion, but Michigan turned them away with a pass broken up by Kenny H. Lovely. Perkins completed 16 of 19 passes, 163 yards, and also accounted for 2 touchdowns, 1 passing and 1 rushing. Etling completed 4 of 6 for 30 yards. Perry of Memphis completed 10 of 17 for 93 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 INT. Williams completed 8 of 11 for 104 yards and 1 interception. Nate McCrary was Michigan's leading rusher with 34 yards on 14 attempts. Denrick Prince was the leading rusher for the Showboats on 10 carries for 38 yards. The leading receiver from Michigan was Malik Turner with 5 receptions for 40 yards in his UFL debut. He did look talented out there. Michigan has a lot of good wide receivers. Marcus Sims is returning all UFL wide receiver. Nakua is out there lighting things up. Mariner is talented. And then Malik Turner. Adams caught 6 balls for 93 yards for Memphis. The Panthers will return home to Ford Field for 3 straight games, starting with the Birmingham Stallions Week 2. As they say, damn it, they play Friday night. I work Friday night. That is a cool thing Fox is doing. It's football on Friday nights on Fox. They got UFL games on Friday night at 8 o'clock on Fox. The Showboats will be on the road against the DC Defenders to kick off the schedule for the 8-0. So Birmingham lost. DC is 1-0. Birmingham's 0-1. They're going to be looking for redemption. This will be a low attendance Panthers game as the Tigers play. So I don't expect much in attendance over at Ford Field. You are the littlest brother, though where there is a strong following for the Michigan Panthers here, especially after when you have a successful organization, it's hard to turn people away. So, all right, that's going to be it for the UFL. We'll talk more about it here come the end of the week, but I like what we've seen out of the Panthers. It was good stuff. And if you got that football itch that needs to be scratched during the spring, it really is the solution. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I've been Hat and Beard. You guys have been an attentive audience. Try and have yourself a good rest of the day. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't call for bail. Yeah, so that's going to be it for me. Scratch it. Yeah, dude, scratching that itch. That's exactly what it does. Mr. Detroit City scratches that itch. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for the great show. Thank you. I appreciate the comments, dude. Thank you, Mr. Detroit City. I appreciate it. Just a heads up, we'll probably maybe do a little bit longer of a show Wednesday as well because I got Wednesday off. So we're probably going to be doing a couple articles, and then let's just plan on doing a mock draft on Wednesday. So we'll be running a little bit longer on Wednesday. Again, I don't have to work, but doesn't mean you guys can't listen while you work. So. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another very exciting off season. So, I've been Hat and Beard. You've been attentive audience. Bonga bonga. Frig off.